Most people see a statue, a silent guardian of the sand. But 4,500 years ago, the pharaohs saw a message. A declaration of absolute power carved into the very bones of the earth. But here is the strategic nightmare. How do you carve a 240-foot lion with a human face out of a single massive piece of bedrock, using nothing but bronze tools and human muscle? This wasn't just art, it was a logistical miracle. Today, we're going beyond the mystery to look at the math, the manpower, and the strategic genius that anchored an empire. To understand the Sphinx, you first have to understand the ground it stands on. 4,500 years ago, the Giza Plateau wasn't a clean construction site. It was a chaotic field of limestone. But the Egyptian engineers didn't see a problem. They saw a geological game. Most monuments are built by moving stone to a site. The Sphinx is different. It was carved in situ, left behind from the very quarrying that built the Great Pyramids. Pharaoh Khafre's architects identified a specific outcropping of member 2 limestone, a softer, more workable stone, perfect for detail, but structurally risky. The strategy was bold. Instead of building up, they would dig down. They excavated a massive horseshoe-shaped ditch, isolating a single 200-ton block of bedrock. It was a one-shot opportunity. If the stone cracked or a hidden fault was revealed, the pharaoh's legacy would crumble before the first chisel hit the rock. If the bedrock was the canvas, the bronze chisel was the brush, but it was a brush that disintegrated with every stroke. In 2500 BCE, iron was still a futuristic dream. The Great Sphinx was carved using arsenical copper and early bronze. These metals are relatively soft. Against the member 2 limestone, a master mason's chisel would lose its edge in just a few dozen strikes. This created an industrial-scale logistical nightmare. For every mason carving the Sphinx's mane, there were likely 3 support workers dedicated solely to tool-making. Constant fires burned on the plateau, where toolsmiths would reshape and cold hammer the copper edges back into a cutting blade. This wasn't just art, it was a massive recycling operation. Thousands of pounds of copper were being moved, dulled, melted and hammered every single day. As the rough quarrying ended, the strategy shifted to refinement. The head of the Sphinx is carved from the hardest layer of limestone on the site. To achieve the regal features of Pharaoh Khafre, masons switched from heavy mallets to delicate abrasion, using sand and harder stones to polish the limestone until it glowed. They were turning a mountain into a portrait, one grain of sand at a time. Building the Sphinx wasn't just a feat of carving, it was a feat of survival. To keep 10,000 workers swinging mallets in 100-degree heat, the Egyptian state had to build a logistical miracle. This wasn't a slave camp. Archaeological evidence shows a highly organized, well-fed workforce living in a strategic support hub designed for maximum efficiency. The strategy was simple: high-protein fuel. Thousands of cattle and goats were driven from the Nile Delta to Giza every week. Workers were fed prime cuts of beef and fresh bread, luxuries that kept morale high and bodies strong. This was a massive redistribution of the kingdom's wealth, directed toward a single limestone ridge. The Sphinx wasn't built on suffering. It was built on calories and coordination. When we look at the Sphinx today, we see a mystery. But when you look through the lens of ancient strategy, you see a masterclass in management. From the calculated risk of the bedrock, selection to the industrial recycling of bronze tools, and finally the massive human engine that powered it all. The Sphinx was never just a statue. It was the ultimate demonstration of what a unified society could achieve. The Sphinx wasn't built. It was engineered, managed, and sustained through a strategy so effective it has survived 4,500 years of desert wind. It remains a testament not just to a pharaoh's ego, but to the brilliant minds that solved the logistics of the impossible. This was the Sphinx strategy, engineering a legend.